Slovenia's population is aging, and aging fast. A somber mood hangs over the Ljubljana retirement home at the start of the new year. It follows the country's downgrading by the rating agencies due to the rejection to raise the retirement age, dealing a blow to the government's plans to control public debt. The new centre-left party, headed by the mayor of Slovenia's capital, won a surprise victory in December's snap elections. Meet Olga Skenda, a retired training supervisor. What's her advice to the new Slovenian coalition?
Life expectancy is going up on average. I think for women it's something around 70-80 years. And regarding men, life expectancy is around 70 years or something like that. Well, given the fact that we're living longer and longer, logically we need a reform of the pension system, taking those changes into account. The system has to be changed. In the future, the retirement age has to go up.
Slovenia became the first former Yugoslav republic to join the single currency in 2007, but its small open economy was hit hard during the financial crisis, suffering one of the biggest drops in output in the eurozone. Although Slovenia's public debt of around 40% of GDP is quite low by EU standards, without reforms this figure could rise as the population ages rapidly. The director of the Institute of Economic Research said baby boomers will reach retirement age soon, but today's birth rate is low, therefore the share of pension payments GDP grows. In the past year, the budget for pensions went up by another 150 million euros.
So in the next 20 to 30 years, we will have less than one employed person paying for one retired person. I don't want to be too pessimistic, but so we can be very close to the Greece situation very quickly.
To understand the reasons for the problem, let's drive over to Ledin, a small village in the Slovenian countryside. Together with Poland, Slovakia, the Baltic states and the Czech Republic, Slovenia has one of the lowest birth rates in Europe. And to top it off, the Slovenian countryside is empty. The Ledin schoolhouse was built to take in 80 children. Avisha Semrov teaches only 13 boys and girls. Recently, another school in the same region had to be closed because the minimum level of 5 children was not reached. Ledin is just one out of 342 Slovenian schools obliged to teach all ages together in the same classroom.
For teaching combined level classes, all the material has to be well prepared in advance. The advantage of the combined level teaching, the older pupils take over responsibilities. They can assist the teacher, support and help out the younger pupils. That's good for them and a real advantage.
Currently, Slovenia's actual retirement age is one of the lowest in Europe, but the government wants to raise it to a minimum of 65. Jajina will have to work longer than her parents. What is her dream profession?
When I will be grown up, I want to find work as a trader, vendor or shop owner. I like very much to deal with money to handle it. It's fun, and sometimes there'll be some familiar faces coming to the store for buying something. We can have a chat together. That's nice.
In 2003, the number of people older than 65 in the country exceeded the number of children. If this trend continues, there will be insufficient revenues for pension payouts. Jajina's father is a logistics manager. Her mother works in a factory. The Bruce family have 3 children, an exception in Slovenia. They have collected signatures in the village to convince the local mayor to open a kindergarten to make the countryside attractive for young families. In the recent pension reform referendum, they voted against the proposed raise of the minimum retirement age.
I think when you have achieved 40 years of working life without interruption, then you have the right to retire. There is not the slightest doubt on this.
After so many years of hard working, people are exhausted. They're tired, worn out. I can't imagine that when you're 66 years old, you're still working. This is not possible.
But without reform, Slovenia is projected to have one of the largest pension expenditures in the EU by 2050. In the small town of Idrija, the economic centre of the district, Collector makes starters, fuel pumps and other vehicle components. The International Monetary Fund warns that pension expenditure poses a challenge to fiscal sustainability in Slovenia. But most workers, young and old, are opposed to a pension reform that raises the retirement age too far and too quickly.
I think the older working men should retire not too late, so that young people get employment. That's the solution. Early retirement of the elderly, so that the young generation can step in. We need a reform, but it should be done in a normal way. The implementation of the pension reform should be gradual, so the young guys will get a job and the old ones will get a decent retirement.
The Collector management is in favour of the pension scheme reform plans, saying that the rise of retirement age would be good for the company.
We see an advantage in the work experience and knowledge of the elderly colleagues. They can transmit this to the young workers who freshly arrive in the company. And that's an advantage for everyone, the company included.
Zoran Jankovic, the winner of the December election, plans to enact a pension reform that would raise the retirement age to 65. He hopes to reach an agreement with trade unions, despite a similar reform being rejected during a referendum initiated by the trade unions. Trade union leader Zoran Jankovic says that raising the retirement age to 65 is unacceptable.
Slovenia is one of the very few countries in Europe where the employers pay a very low contribution to the pension scheme. It's even lower than the workers' contribution. That's not fair.
In order to avoid a complete crash of the pension system, the trade union president wants company owners to contribute much more for it and fiercely rejects all kinds of outside pressure.
We're not giving away our rights to organise the conditions for retirement age and pension system. This right belongs to us and nobody else. Not the International Monetary Fund, not to the European Central Bank, nor to the rating agencies.
For the whole country.
The outgoing Minister for Family and Social Affairs believes Europe, as a whole, has to adjust to globalisation to tackle the demographic problem of ageing European societies.
One of the possibilities that people sometimes speak about is to let immigrants coming, but this would bring additional problems to regulate. So we don't see any other possibility than to prolong the period of activity of our citizens. If we live longer, we should work longer.
There's a political game of chess being played in Slovenia. Last year, the Democratic Party of Pensions fought hard against the planned pension reform. The Pensioners' Party president was born in Belgium, where his father worked in a mine. He has a strong stance on what needs to be done.
It's not good to prolong the retirement age. It's not good for elderly workers, and it's not good for young people without work either. The young generation studied well, they're in good shape and full of energy, but they can't find a job.
Europe's debt crisis has highlighted the problem within overstretched welfare systems. The social changes made since the Eurozone crisis has already led to government changes in Portugal, Greece, Italy, Spain, Ireland and now in Slovenia.
Ja.